As the video title suggests, I've made a little app called r6720 Player Color Customizer, and I have ZZZ in front of it so that you can sort it along with any other apps I make for the game in the future. I made a video about this one recently where you can reset one campaign at a time, and I have one for r6720 as you can see here, but also I have one for the latest version, which in that video I provide a download link to it. But r6720 is still very popular amongst the multiplayer community, and so that's what this little app I made is primarily for them. I'm not positive that it's going to work because I don't play multiplayer to test it. So I really appreciate if someone watching this will let me know if it works. Just please follow the instructions that I give, at least a suggestion, to possibly make it work if it wouldn't work otherwise. And I'll get into that in a short bit. But anyway, when you download it, which I'll provide a link to it in the video description, just put it in the r6720 folder or wherever. It doesn't have to be here. It's not like the campaign resetter that has to be in here, but it's probably ideal, makes things simpler overall just to have it in here. This app is not going to modify any files that you have on your computer anywhere. What it's going to do is going to make a copy of the exe file because you're going to select it. So be careful to select this and not this, okay? I don't know what's going to happen if you select that, but you're going to select this with this app, and it's going to make a copy of this and modify it, and it's also going to create a text file that exports the current color settings that you chose. And for multiplayer, basically one person can set the colors in here and then share that text file that it creates with everybody else, and then everyone will use this app to create an exe file where they load in those settings instead of going and picking the colors themselves. So that's an overview. Now let's see what I'm talking about. All you have to do is double click on it. I'm just going to move it to the side here so we can see the files because new files are going to appear and all. First time you use this, the only option you really have is to say select the exe, and you're going to choose KaM Remake exe or any one that this creates, or any exe henceforth. It doesn't matter. So if you have a new exe in the future that has new colors, you can select that one and load in the colors from that one into here to get whatever the colors are. For example, say open, and you have to say yes the first time, and I have a dark border around the yes. So you can just press enter automatically if you want it to always load in the exe that you select, but you may not want to, especially if you are one of the players who, or a spectator, whoever in multiplayer, who are importing settings from somebody else. Not that it matters. You can, when you import settings, it's going to overwrite the ones that are here. But that's just too much into it. But basically, as you can see, I'm just going to expand this window vertically and scroll down. There's 22 colors. Like if I go to a map like eruption and I select this and see the colors, you can see that they correspond, and you can see the exact colors that are in the game for those who ever wanted to know. And speaking of which, for those who maybe know what the colors are for the original game that came out in 1998, or the one in 2001, I think, the Peasants Rebellion, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not positive about that, but you can now put those colors in here, no big deal. As you can see, all the colors here corresponds to these. Alright, so I can just minimize that and just click on a bar to change the color. Now, first of all, if you change your mind, you don't want to change the color, and you press the X, you press the escape key, or you press cancel, any one of those, it's going to ask you if you chose black, because this color picker, the window that just popped up that you picked the color, it's called the color picker. With this app, it doesn't know the difference if you cancel in one of those three ways, or you choose the color black, which is solid black. Like if I would come here and I would say define custom colors, and I would make red just one, so it's not 000, it's not solid black, and you say okay, then all of a sudden it's going to choose that color and not ask you. But if it's exactly black, like if I come here and I say black, which is 000, it says did you choose it, you just say yes. But by default is going to have a solid black line around the no, so you don't have to keep having to click. You just press enter because you canceled. You don't have to keep clicking on something and thinking about it, right? Okay, so that's black. I can just say apply so we can see what happened. Now look there, a new exe file, it just takes for a few seconds for the icon to show up. It's named something weird. It's a date serial. It's KaM Remake, but then it's followed by a date serial. So it's a date and time serial. So this guarantees that this app is always going to make a new file. It's not going to overwrite any file that you have. Because what it's going to do when it creates a file, if the file exists, it's going to overwrite it, which is not good. So I have it create a custom serial date and time that it will never have a chance to overwrite any files that you have to keep it safe. Now it tells you where it is, which is it's going to be in the folder that you run the app from. So I click OK, and now all of a sudden player color settings is going to also be generated, and it's going to start with the exact same name as the new EXE, so you know which color settings goes with which new EXE that you have created with this app. So you can consider this a mod. It's such a minor mod that I really don't think you should really consider this anything other than r6720. So when I click OK, that's it. Let's go ahead and open it up, and it's going to do this for all 22 colors. If you don't change any of them, then they're going to stay the same. But now I go back into the eruption, for example, and I click here. Red is still available. That was the default color for the map. For some reason, it's still in memory somewhere in the game. I don't know where, but now you can see that you can no longer select red, but if you select black, okay, and I select there, and you can see it's black. So it works. For single player at least. I hope it works for multiplayer. But if you want to undo that, when you click reset, it's going to put the color back that you loaded in from the EXE, or you imported in, either one. So from this point, let's say that what I just did, I was the person who was in charge of selecting the colors. Maybe all of us as a team, including the spectators, everybody knows a certain color set that we're going to use. Maybe someone will come up with a new standard color set for multiplayer that most people are going to use, that they like or whatever, I don't know. But let's say that this file is being passed around. It's a 1 kilobyte file, it's a text file. It's not going to trigger any malware to prevent you from sharing a file like an exe file will be, potentially. It depends on the file hosts or email services that you have. Right, so anyway, let's say that the other me that just made this is the team leader or the one who's in charge of doing this, and everyone has this file. So me as the spectator or one of the other people that's going to join the lobby or server or whatever, they just come here and they open up the app and they need to select the KaM Remake EXE just like I did. They say okay. Now when it asks you this, you can say no at this point because, I mean, if you do, it doesn't matter. But let's just say I say no. Nothing's going to happen from this point, but now the exe code has been loaded into the app. That has to be done. But now once you do that, now you can import the file that my friend gave me and gave everybody else and say open. And there you go. And now if I say apply, then I can create my own exe. And it's going to create the settings file too. It's going to do it every time. So just to verify that this works, it should look exactly the same as it did for the other exe that we created. And it doesn't matter the map. I can choose a different map like wilderness. It doesn't matter. There's black, right? And everything else is the same. Now let's say that I would have chosen the other route. Just to briefly show that it works, I come in here. Of course, every time I have to load in the exe. And I say open, and it's there. And I say yes. This is what the default is because that's the default exe I selected. Now I can import the colors. This was the earlier one that my friend gave me supposedly. Then all of a sudden it's going to change it. So if I say apply, say OK, and I select the exe, or open it, I should say, that it just created from this, doing it in this order, it's still correct. It's still going to work. Last possibility, where order doesn't matter, just to give people a peace of mind. I click on this here, and let's say I want to import what my friend gave me before I even load the exe in, which could be any one of these. It's going to load it in, but I can't press apply because I didn't load it in the exe. So now when you load in the exe and I select, let's say, the default KaM Remake, this is where it's going to matter that you say no, because if you say yes, it's going to do that, all right? But I'm just going to do it again to show you the correct way to do it, or the most efficient way. If not, you just have to X out and do it again. If you make a mistake, it doesn't really matter. But now I need to select an exe. Let's say the default, and it's going to say, do you also want to import? You say no. Then once you do, then you're set, and then you can say apply again. It's the same process. I have export colors as well. Let's say you don't want to make an exe for whatever reason. It doesn't matter the reason, right? Let's just say that I don't want to. Maybe I already have it, but I lost the player colors file. That could be a good reason. And I changed this to blue just now, so it's 0255, and I say export. Then it's just going to export that. But this serial is a date and time serial. It has no correspondence. It's not going to be the same as these. There's no chance of it happening. So don't get confused by that. This is just something that you should rename to whatever you want, but just make sure that you're not in the habit of renaming something to the same name as something else and then accidentally overriding in the future, that's not my fault. That will be yours. But I say okay, and it didn't change at all, right? I can I can do this. Let me change this to green, and then import again and import that. Then it's going to be the blue, right? I hope that makes sense, and I hope it's not confusing. And again, I'm not positive that this is going to be required, that everyone needs to have the same color settings in their game. It may not be this way. Maybe it's a lot less complicated. I don't know. But that's just a way that you can at least, if you have a friend that they say, oh man, I like those colors, and you forget what color it is, you can get those colors and easily export them to your friend, and then they can make their own exe without you having to send this exe to them. Now, one last thing for developers and for those who want to know, as far as I'm concerned, this mod I made, or this app makes that I gave you power to mod the game yourself with, it's only going to mod these lines here. There are 22 colors, and as you can see here, there are 22 1x4 blocks. Like this is one, this is one, this is one, and so forth. There's 22 of them for 22 colors. This is the red that shows up in the default menu. So if you know Hex, the first code is the red, then green, then blue. That's the order. Sometimes they'll be backwards. Sometimes it'll be blue, green, red. But in the remake, in r6720 at least, it's red, green, blue. So this is going to be a red because it's mostly red. So that's the first color, and then towards the end is almost black. 1B is very small of a number. It's very close to 0. That's 27, 27, 27. And you can just see that if you use the app, because I didn't modify the last color. If we just import any one of these that I did in this session, you can see that it says 27, 27, 27. So in short, if you have a hex editor that allows you to view the data in the file in this format, it'll be on these line numbers where you can see what they are and change them. The FF is just a section break, just the ones on the end. I know it's kind of confusing with this right here. These represent 255. That's white. That's the third to last color. And as you can see from the game, in the drop down, the third to last color is white. And to verify that it's pure white, which is 255, 255, 255, I just come in here and I load it in any one of those, and it says that right there, 255, 255, 255. But that's it. For those who maybe have Linux or something, you cannot run this app for some reason. VB script is not supported natively on, but this will definitely work on Windows. If not, I'll be surprised. You can let me know, but it should work on Windows. I have Windows 10 if that matters, but I don't think it's going to matter. But anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.